Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
But today, what do we see just after 1.5 years in office? Immediately after repealing the E-Levy law, they imposed the Dumso levy, what they call the Energy Sector Reform Levy, which now took away 1 Ghana cedi per liter of petrol that is bought at the pump. So that was the first mischief. The second surprise, they have reintroduced the Dumso levy, the E-Levy. This time, not even through Parliament. I repeat, the NDC government, through the back door, has reintroduced the E-Levy. These were politicians who criticized charges on mobile money transaction. They said it was a bad way of governing or generating revenue for the state. They criticized the NPP administration. They use it as a political tool. But what we see today has become legend. I have in my hand a statement that has just been released by Bank of Ghana after the public had criticized the NDC administration. They are now purporting to say that they are suspending the levy. Meanwhile, they had earlier put out a public notice that from 1st of June, transactions from bank account to the wallet would attract a 0.75% Ghana cedi, 0.75% fees on direct wallet to bank transfers. According to them, they are doing this suspension for further consultation. The question is, what is further consultation in this context? Were these not the same people who, when in opposition, claim that there must be constructive consultation before any policy is introduced and implemented? So what has changed? The worst part of it is that this time they did not even come through Parliament. According to them, they're using Mobile Money Fintech Limited as the vehicle for these hidden charges. So whereas in the Akufo-Addo administration, due process was followed, government made the announcement through the budget and came to Parliament for a law for the purposes of this levy. NDC is using the Bank of Ghana and a private sector company to enforce this levy. We have a question for the finance minister. He must immediately come to Parliament on Thursday to explain the circumstances leading to the imposition of this 0.75% charges on mobile money transactions. We are not interested in the suspension. We are interested in how come, but for the public outcry, they were going to spring this surprise on the Ghanaian public. So in conclusion, we are simply saying NDC is a scam. It's a government of settings. They don't believe in what they say. I repeat, the NDC government does not believe in what it says. It says one thing and does another. It doesn't keep its promise. It is a government of propaganda. They promised 1 job, 3 shifts. As we speak, they have failed on that 1 job, 3 shifts. They promised cocoa farmers that a bag of cocoa will sell at 7,000. They came and they have rather reduced it. At least they could have maintained the 3,100 that Akufo-Addo left. They promised the rice farmer that they were going to have a system to offtake the produce of the rice farmers. As we speak, it is even cheaper to buy imported rice than a locally produced rice. They have lost their policy on agriculture. Maize farmers are complaining, yam farmers are complaining, cocoa farmers are complaining. On electricity, within a year and a half of being in office, they have increased electricity tariffs by almost 30%. Water, 19%. As we speak, we know that Dumsor is back. They again do not have a policy in place to absorb our trained teachers and our trained nurses. They give one excuse after the other. When it comes to recruitment into the security services, they know that per their own budget, they can only contain 5,000 recruits. Yet they sold forms to hundreds of thousands of people, and even the 200,000 that qualified for medicals, that they are taking their money, that these student recruits will be charged for medicals after going through difficult time in this AI, so-called AI aptitude test. They know that the monies that they will be charging, these innocent, unemployed Ghanaian youth will not get their jobs. Yet, a party of propaganda still went ahead. And when we criticized it in Parliament, they now came back and told us they are going to increase it, the numbers to 10,000. Even if you maintain the 10,000, it is not even up to 10%. So, again, they are scamming all of us. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, to conclude, we are aware that they themselves promised Ghanaian women bank. They said they were going to establish a bank solely for women. They were going to give loans. What has become of that loan? We've not even seen the bank. We've not seen the bank. And people are desperate. They came and rather dismissed people who were lawfully employed. And more youths are sitting at home because NDC came into office and sacked them. We have several of it. We moved the motion on the floor, and they frustrated the motion because they want to hide this.
Is drawn by the business committee the first day that the committee meets. If the public listen to you without hearing me, they would know that you are a member of the business committee. And that you were at the business committee meeting this morning and you never proposed the list of questions. You were at the business committee meeting this morning. You did not suggest that questions should be scheduled. So I'm surprised that you will be making so much noise about questions not being scheduled when you were part of the committee that refused to schedule the questions. What level of righteousness is this? Mr. Speaker, I can assure you that we know how business is conducted. The order paper for today does not provide for the laying of papers and the consideration of those same papers. The order paper for today only makes provision for the laying of the papers. It is the provisional order paper for tomorrow that makes provision for the possible taking of those reports. I was in this house many years before you came, so I know how business is scheduled. I was here many years before you got to this house. So take your time and learn. Take your time and learn. And as for ministers coming to this house to answer questions, you know the rules. The rules are clear. There's a certain period within which the minister has to come and answer questions. So you can't ask the minister a question today and expect him immediately to come tomorrow. He has to come within the relevant rules. And Mr. Speaker, the request for us to bring the minister in to look at the issue of xenophobic attacks, after we have asked the question on the matter, I don't know, because I keep repeating myself that you know how ministers are summoned to the house. Ministers are brought here through questions. You ask them questions, they come and they answer the questions. If they think that it is important to come and brief this house on a policy matter, they will come. And so if you have asked a question, and then when it is being processed, you get up and ask me to summon the minister because it has become urgent. When a matter becomes urgent, you amend your question and make it an urgent question. You amend your question and make it an urgent question. When you make your question an urgent question, then the minister will come based on the urgency as admitted by the Right Honorable Speaker. So go and amend your question and say that it is an urgent question. So if your question is urgent, why do you get up and misrepresent to this house that after you ask your question, some urgent matters arose? So urgent upon urgent. Urgent upon urgent. Very urgent. Mr. Speaker, I believe normally ministers of sport will come and brief the House before any major tournament. And I have no doubt that the minister responsible for sports will come and brief us about the preparation for the World Cup. And as for the issues relating to the athletic competition, I'm sure if you ask the right questions, the minister will come and answer those questions. I have also heard that the audit report on the All-African Games is also ready. I'm sure the minister will bring the audit report on the All-Africa Games for us to consider alongside what might have happened at the recent athletic competition. Referrals. Yeah, I agree with you that we need to take the referrals more seriously and try as much as possible to get the reports to this House. I know that during the recess, many committees requested for appropriation, some funding, to meet and consider their various referrals so that by the time we resume, they will be able to report to us. The Speaker approved funding for many of these committees, and many I know met and considered their various referrals. I believe that they will soon present their reports to us. I am the person who has insisted on committees considering all referrals. In the past, and I've been in this House for a very long time, reports of agencies, departments, and etc. that were laid in this House hardly got considered by committees and reports presented to this House. When you were a leader, it used not to be the practice. But I insist that part of our responsibility is to oversee the agencies. And when we make a provision in an act that they should present an annual report to Parliament, when the reports come, apart from Public Accounts Committee, which looks at the financial issues, the reports on the actual substantive work of agencies is sometimes even more critical than the financing. So that's why I insist that we take our responsibility of considering agency reports serious so that our oversight of the agencies can be more effective. I know members have not been doing this in the past, committees have not been doing this in the past, and it's a new thing that we're trying to get them to do, and it takes time to build the skills and competencies to do it. But I believe that in time, committee chairpersons and leadership will pick up the skills and be able to do that effectively for us to improve our oversight of the various agencies. 300 questions, I believe we'll find a way of considering them. And I believe there will be additional questions during this sitting. But let me also encourage colleagues that in some jurisdictions, they actually ration the questions. They actually ration questions. So, you know, people don't ask questions like how many shrines we have in this country. If you ask the minister how many shrines we have in this country, you know, it creates problems. How does the minister come to answer questions about how many shrines we have in this country? So those type of questions generate problems. I mean, let's take the question time as a very serious business of the House. I think those are the issues that have been raised. Yes, the bills that we indicate we will present to this House, I can assure you that we will take every step that is needed to expedite consideration of those bills. I take note of your recommendation that we should get the winnowing committee a little more active so that we can be able to process bills. Unfortunately, there has been a tendency where we consider a bill, and then by the time we realize, we refer the bill back to the Attorney General, and then we, you know, come and want to withdraw the bill and then relay a new bill. And then we create the impression that we don't consider bills thoroughly, forgetting that this bill was considered, amendments were preferred, sent to the AG, reincorporated. And when it happens that way, if you want to take the bill through the relevant process, it becomes very complicated. And we witnessed that during the last session where I insisted that all those bills should be taken through the relevant processes. It became a bit confusing. So this time we'll avoid those things. And so I urge committee chairpersons that when there are proposals for amendments, let us take it to winnowing committee. This Parliament will once again be called upon to support the government with the appropriate policy, legislative, and appropriation approvals necessary to ensure that we never have to go back to the IMF within a short time after exiting their program like we have done since 1957. Mr. Speaker, we are therefore commencing this second meeting of the second session of the night Parliament at a time when a lot of work needs to be done to carry our nation's economy to where we want it. Committees must monitor agencies they superintend over to ensure continued discipline and conduct conducive to national progress. This is what Ghanaians expect of their parliament. The international community has continued to applaud the Ghanaian people for our strides in democratic governance. The recently released 2026 World Press Freedom Index tells a story of remarkable institutional redemption. Ghana has made a monumental leap, soaring to the 39th spot globally out of 180 countries, our highest ranking in over half a decade. So, Mr. Speaker, I stand before you to celebrate a profound democratic resurrection under the deliberate, rights-driven stewardship of the National Democratic Congress, NDC administration, led by His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama. We have fiercely reclaimed our heritage as a vanguard of free expression in this country. Right, Honourable Speaker, our democracy remains a work in progress. Even as we are applauded for doing so well, we seek perfection. That is why I once again urge honorable members to brace themselves for a heavy schedule of work this session, because the government is likely to bring before us a number of proposals for constitutional amendment pursuant to the work of the Constitution Review Committee. Government has worked on its position paper, which will inform the specific amendment proposals that might be brought before this Parliament in this session. A number of entrenched and non-entrenched provisions of our Constitution might be considered for amendment, and this House will play a crucial role. So today is not a mere constitutional ritual, but rather a solemn reminder of the sacred trust that is placed on us as the elected representatives of the people. Our office as the representatives of the people places us at a position where we are the hope of the farmer in Sombo, the trader at Makola, the market woman at Kejetia, the teacher at Fomena, the fisherman at Almina, the young entrepreneur in Akati South, the nurse in Hohoi, and all the youth and farmers of this country. As the elected representatives of the people, I beseech us never to lose sight of the fact that Parliament is not only a house of records and law, it is also the house where the hopes, aspirations, anxieties, and frustrations of the people are duly expressed and communicated to the government through questions, motions, debates, and statements. We, as the gatekeepers of democratic governance, must therefore work assiduously to meet the needs and aspirations of the people as we ensure the equitable distribution of national resources. Mr. Speaker, the various occurrences in the sub-region that threaten democratic governance and stability makes it imperative for us to govern accountably with honesty, maturity, patriotism, and national unity. While the country continues to enjoy peace and democratic stability, which is the envy of many, we must, however, acknowledge that our democracy has only matured through tolerance, dialogue, and institutional resilience. It is imperative for us to commend the Ghanaian people for their continued faith in democratic governance and constitutional order whilst working to meet their needs. Recently, the judiciary has come under attack by no less a person than the new Patriotic Party Minority Leader, Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin. Let me repeat a caution given by this very minority leader in this chamber, that when you are not satisfied with a decision of a lower court, you appeal and seek redress in a higher court. In this day and age, we must strive to be consistent, because records are kept of whatever you have ever said. I want to assure the judiciary that we on this side of the House have their backs covered. Mr. Speaker, we must equally acknowledge that public confidence and trust in governance is increasingly being measured not by speeches, but rather by tangible improvements in the living conditions of the people we serve. To this end, Ghanaians expect accountability, transparency, and responsive leadership. They expect Parliament to rise above partisan divisions whenever the need arises and rally around the desire to improve their lives and livelihood. We cannot fail them in this endeavor, and the trust they repose in us must be the fuel that energizes us to do more for the country and its people. This is a sacred trust we must uphold and deliver to the benefit of the citizenry. Mr. Speaker, we are not oblivious to the remaining myriad economic problems confronting us. A half-decade accumulation of jobless youth, a recovering private sector and financial institutions, a huge infrastructure deficit. Parliament must work with the executive branch of government to build on the recent economic successes to address these challenges. In this regard, I will ask all committees overseeing the economic sectors to ensure that ministers account to us regarding the measures taken to ensure local content policies in the various economic sectors. Jobs for which Ghanaians have the skills and competencies cannot be occupied by non-Ghanaians. Also, committees should ensure that factories are producing at full capacity and the domestic market is protected through ending smuggling of goods into the economy. Committees overseeing the security and revenue mobilization sectors must set up and ensure that smuggling is curtailed, and proposals for tax reforms to help in that regard come before this House. We must ensure that pursuant to the ending of the IMF bailout program, we scrupulously scrutinize all appropriation proposals brought before us to ensure that public funds do not get wasted in unscrupulous consumption, but is invested in the productive sectors to create jobs and wealth for our unemployed youth. The last 1.5 years of economic management establishes the point that our economy does not lack. Our economy has only suffered from decades of inefficiency, waste, graft, and corruption. I can say with confidence, Mr. Speaker, that in the aftermath of our exit from the IMF program, the takeoff of the 24-hour economy will be accelerated to create the jobs we promised the youth of this country. The Minister of Finance will be in this House shortly to make a statement on the most recent economic developments, and this will give us an opportunity to debate the future direction of our country's economic governance. Government's quest to address the many challenges confronting the nation will see this meeting being packed with a number of businesses and activities. This is a working government, and looking at the agenda for this meeting, I can promise honorable colleagues that the House is going to get very busy as we have a number of public and private businesses to conduct. The following are the businesses that have been scheduled for the House to undertake during the meeting. 48 bills, including Cybersecurity Authority and Data Protection bills, 26 instruments to be presented, statements, motions, and as usual, presentation of papers and reports. More so, there will be a number of committee sittings to consider many referrals. There will also be a number of site visits and familiarization tours that will be undertaken by the various sector committees to ascertain the works that are being done by the various ministries, departments, and agencies across the country. Although most of these site visits and familiarization tours were undertaken during the recess, I envisage more to be undertaken during the meeting. All these activities help Parliament to undertake its legislative oversight, financial control, deliberative, and representational functions. I know that we will rise to the occasion and that this meeting is going to be productive and fruitful in service to the people and the nation as a whole. Mr. Speaker, the Black Stars of Ghana, which is the men's senior national team, is representing the nation at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which starts from 11 June to 19 July 2026. As most of us know, this is the first time that the World Cup is being hosted by 3 different countries: the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. And we will see matches being played across 16 different cities. I will therefore take this opportunity to wish the Black Stars of Ghana all the best in their competitions. They have the full support of this honorable House, by extension the entire nation. We have hope and confidence in their ability to deliver, and we know they will make us proud once again. May they lift the flag of Ghana higher during the tournament. We have all been formally informed of the detention of our colleague, the honorable member for Asante Achim North, Kwame Ohene Frimpong, at the Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam by Dutch authorities acting on a request for extradition by the United States of America based on a federal court warrant regarding an indictment in the courts of the United States of America. I urge Ghanaians to be circumspect in their comments regarding this matter, as all accused persons are innocent until proven guilty. We must not do anything to compromise the legitimate defenses available to our colleague. At this juncture, I will admonish my honorable colleagues on the other side that no parliament can operate without cooperation and collaboration. We must therefore learn to work together, majority and minority alike, for national development, prosperity, and progress. May we never forget that beyond political parties, beyond ideology, and beyond electoral competition, we remain one people with one destiny. History will judge this night Parliament not by the volume of our arguments, but by the quality of our contribution to national progress. Let me conclude by indicating to the Deputy Minority Leader that all the issues she has raised are legitimate matters for consideration by this House. I believe that this country is on the right path, promoting local ownership of the key sectors of our economy. The Diamond Mine Agreement will definitely be brought to this House, and every aspect of it will be open to public scrutiny. And I can assure you which Ghana had to be represented. Some were mostly busy representing us at the activities of the regional ECOWAS and Pan-African parliaments. I believe your engagements in the constituencies, your various committee engagements with relevant stakeholders, and the exposure to international contemporary issues during this recess have better prepared you for the work ahead in this session. At this point, let me congratulate some of our colleagues who made us proud by being elected to key positions at the Pan-African Parliament during this recess. Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajima-Rawlings, Her Excellency, was elected second Vice President, effectively the Deputy Speaker of the Pan-African Parliament. Honorable Frank Anodompre was elected Chair of the Health, Social Work and Labour Committee of the Western Caucus of the Pan-African Parliament. We wish you well in your new offices. We have no doubt that you will continue to showcase Ghanaian exceptionalism abroad. Right, Honorable Speaker, we commence sitting at a profound moment of renewed hope and optimism in the country. Let me quote a post from Franklin Kujo of Imani, Ghana, about a week ago. Franklin Kujo writes, and please pay attention. Franklin Kujo writes, and I quote, "The fastest economic recovery in Ghana's history has been recorded." He says, the fastest economic recovery in Ghana's history has been recorded and achieved by version 2.0 of the Mahama-led government. This, after the most regressive, self-immolating policies of waste, mismanagement, and plunder the country has ever seen. This is the verdict. This is a verdict of civil society on the NPP regime. Franklin Kujo further states, key achievement, exit from the IMF program with star-studded honors. Rapid decline in inflation, a confident cedi, international reserves built back better, the quickest debt reduction from 65% to 45% of GDP in just 1 year. Buoyed by confidence, candor, and transparency, the government's finance team, competently led by Dr. Atuforsen, carefully choreographed how to work with the IMF program they inherited, even though it was badly bruised, broken, and moribund from excessive hemorrhage following the twin shocks of the domestic debt exchange program, which amounted to the literal pickpocketing of the savings and investments by previous administrations. Mr. Speaker, in essence, the final economic collapse of the economy we witnessed in 2022, with all macroeconomic indicators gasping for air, was entirely avoidable. So what has changed this time with the exit plan from the IMF? A commitment never to return to the IMF after 3.5 years, the period we have been cursed through maladministration to return to the fund since independence in 1957. What is the PCI? It is a non-financial advisory and monitoring tool provided by the IMF. It allows the country to design and implement its own economic reforms without receiving a financial bailout, acting essentially as a global seal of approval for the government fiscal management. This masterstroke in economic diplomacy could not have been achieved without the backing of the president, whose mission this time around is legacy and respect. The president reads every document handed to him.
So this is a test business statement just for today and tomorrow. I mean, essentially it's for today and tomorrow. And few observations, though. I'm quite surprised that in the face of the plethora of outstanding questions, we have over 300 outstanding questions. And Speaker, if you may indulge me, we have 60 questions outstanding in the name of the Minister of Health. The Minister of Roads, I know Kwame will come and answer the questions, 24 questions. The Minister of Finance has 29 questions outstanding, all put together from the table office. Table office. We got all put together, we have 304 questions outstanding. And here you are, you have a golden opportunity. We have today and tomorrow. And I am fully aware that your chief whip engage our ministers. I mean, it's a practice. Before the House sits, you engage them to have a sense of business they are bringing. That is what we were doing when we were in government. And I know you are taking a cue from us. That is fine. So you have engaged them, and you are aware of these outstanding questions for 2 days, today and tomorrow. None of these questions are being programmed. This cannot be acceptable to this House. 2 questions, you are just wasting it in terms of your inability to program any of the ministers to come and answer questions. Why? Today, no show. Tomorrow, no show. Meanwhile, you have over 300 questions that are outstanding. Why? Majority leader, why? Then, on the referrals, the last time you were very agile saying that committee heads are going to suffer punitive measures who are not working on their referrals. You have 291 referrals. This is historic. You are making history. 291 referrals not being worked on. Yeah, I concede I'm also in leadership, but the bat starts with you. All these referrals are outstanding. And here we are, the Minister of Transport, our good friend, is here. He's going to lay another bunch of papers, and he's going to be referred. What is happening to the 291 referrals? It doesn't speak well of this House. We need to get clinical. And the last time you had devised measures that you would advertise these outstanding referrals so that committee heads in question will be called to order to act. Mr. Majority Leader, we want to help you to be responding to your 24-hour policy. But you are not helping yourself. The Majority Leader is not helping himself. 291, and you will not be clinical enough to at least include some of these questions and referral today and tomorrow. And you just come and present this one, and we want us to applaud you. We won't applaud you. You can do better. Then again, I'm not too old in this House, but I know that if you are laying a paper, you cannot go ahead. You are laying a number of papers, and you are going ahead to program motions to be taken, consequential resolutions to be taken at the same time. What is that? That is wrong. The referral has not even been done. The committees have not even reported, and you are programming motions and consequential resolution. What is that? That's not how we do it. Let them go and consider the referral first, and then the committee leadership can give you a sense of whether they have finished their work on the referrals or not. You cannot go ahead and be jumping the gun and be programming motions to be taken of papers that have not even been referred. That is wrong. And I submit this strongly to you. It's wrong. It is wrong. Chief Whip, it is wrong. I know you will not accept it openly, but in private you tell me that we erred. So Majority Leader. So, Speaker, essentially we are saying that this sitting, and you already have been issued, you have informed us that about 50 bills are on their way to this House. That's fine. We will help. Get ready your winnow-win committee. And many of our first-time members of Parliament have shown class and commitment to help in the lawmaking. 50 bills, it is not, you don't just take pride and say, oh, this sitting, we are bringing 50 bills. No, it is not about the number of bills we are bringing. It is about prudent measures we are putting in place to ensure that we pass these bills appropriately. So, and then let's make sure we put in the measures. Speaker, we on this side are going to be very critical in making sure we pass these bills. Now, ministers who are here, this excuse, oh, I am attending conference here and there, we are not going to accept that this time. Oh. If you have questions, come and answer the questions. Speaker, we are telling them in their faces, you are our colleagues. And all the excuses, we are traveling to Azerbaijan, I'm going to China for a business trip, I'm going to Afghanistan for a business trip. No, it's part of the business statement. So, this sitting, get ready. If the ministers cannot come, their deputies should find their way here. There are ministers who don't allow their deputies to work. Deputies who are here, they can agree with me. You see, my deputy is nodding. Ministers who will insist. You're not the one presiding.
Are you a deputy minister?
Speaker, I can yield to him. He's my friend. I can yield to him.
I thought your comments were going to be comments.
Speaker, I'm just concluding. I'm just concluding. And you allow me to conclude. Okay, I can sit down for you to talk.
Let him conclude. Let him conclude, then you can come in. Huh? You want, okay.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, please.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
Majority Chief Whip. Yes.
He just said for the records that some ministers do not allow their deputies to come and answer questions. Speaker, if we allow this to go in, it's very bad. Please. These are not things we can say for the records. No substantive minister has refused or denied his deputy from coming here to respond to questions. So he cannot say that. Please.
No, he's not withdrawing.
Well, you know, I don't mind withdrawing, but Honorable Eche, there's no problem, but will you listen to me first? Speaker, I will not denigrate the reputation of any minister.
Anyway, honorable members, none of you is a minister.
Yes.
Or a deputy minister. Say leave that and let's move on. If they were here, I would have asked them.
So I will try and conclude.
No, but you are not all here. You are just one. He didn't say all ministers. He said some.
Speaker,
yes.
I know them. But in order not to make matters worse for myself,
honorable member, is your word against his word.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
So,
Speaker, you live long. Speaker, you live long. So to conclude, tell your ministers, Chief Whip, don't say I didn't tell you. If the ministers cannot show up, empower the deputy ministers to show up. It's as simple as that. When the minister is insisting I have to come myself and at the same time attending conferences in China and other places, that one will not take it lightly. And to conclude, these are the takeaways, Majority Leader. These are the takeaways for you. The beautiful takeaways for you. 304 questions cannot be dispensed of with this approach. 2 days being wasted with no minister being programmed for questions. It's a waste. It's a waste in context. Then you have referrals. 291 referrals pending. This has never happened in our history. I'm repeating myself. Emphasis to emphasize. First Republican Constitution, Second Republic, Third Republic. This is the history being made by our Honorable Majority Leader, Honorable Ayariga. Mahama Ayariga. 291 referrals. And you are happy about that. You are happy about that, Majority Leader. You should not be proud about this. We want to help you to dispense of them. But you must help yourself first. Program the ministers and let's get them to come and answer these questions. Get the committee leadership to show leadership in dispensing of all these referrals. Yes. This sitting, we are not going to treat you with kid gloves. Get ready. I thank you, Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me just help the Minority Chief Whip with some basic education on how business is programmed. If Parliament is on recess, the Majority Leader has no capacity to program ministers to come and answer questions. The program in the courts of the United States of America. I urge Ghanaians to be circumspect in their comments regarding this matter, as all accused persons are innocent until proven guilty. We must not do anything to compromise the legitimate defenses available to our colleague. At this juncture, I will admonish my honorable colleagues on the other side that no parliament can operate without cooperation and collaboration. We must therefore learn to work together, majority and minority alike, for national development, prosperity, and progress. May we never forget that beyond political parties, beyond ideology, and beyond electoral competition, we remain one people with one destiny. History will judge this night parliament not by the volume of our arguments, but by the quality of our contribution to national progress. Let me conclude by indicating to the Deputy Minority Leader that all the issues she has raised are legitimate matters for consideration by this House. I believe that this country is on the right path, promoting local ownership of the key sectors of our economy. The Diamond Mine Agreement will definitely be brought to this House, and every aspect of it will be open to public scrutiny. And I can assure you, to which Ghana had to be represented. Some were mostly busy representing us at the activities of the regional ECOWAS and Pan-African parliaments. I believe your engagements in the constituencies, your various committee engagements with relevant stakeholders, and the exposure to international contemporary issues during this recess have better prepared you for the work ahead in this session. At this point, let me congratulate some of our colleagues who made us proud by being elected to key positions at the Pan-African Parliament during this recess. Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajima-Rawlings, Her Excellency, was elected second Vice President, effectively the Deputy Speaker of the Pan-African Parliament. Honorable Frank Anodompre was elected Chair of the Health, Social Work and Labour Committee of the Western Caucus of the Pan-African Parliament. We wish you well in your new offices. We have no doubt that you will continue to showcase Ghanaian exceptionalism abroad. Right, Honourable Speaker, we commence sitting at a profound moment of renewed hope and optimism in the country. Let me quote a post from Franklin Kujo of Imani, Ghana, about a week ago. Franklin Kujo writes, and please pay attention. Franklin Kujo writes, and I quote, "The fastest economic recovery in Ghana's history has been recorded." He says, the fastest economic recovery in Ghana's history has been recorded and achieved by version 2.0 of the Mahama-led government. This, after the most regressive, self-immolating policies of waste, mismanagement, and plunder the country has ever seen. This is the verdict. This is a verdict of civil society on the NPP regime. Franklin Kujo further states, key achievement, exit from the IMF program with star-studded honors, rapid decline in inflation, a confident cedi, international reserves built back better, the quickest debt reduction from 65% to 45% of GDP in just 1 year. Buoyed by confidence, candor, and transparency, the government's finance team, competently led by Dr. Atuforsen, carefully choreographed how to work with the IMF program they inherited, even though it was badly bruised, broken, and mudbound from excessive hemorrhage following the twin shocks of the domestic debt exchange program, which amounted to the literal pickpocketing of the savings and investments by previous administrations. Mr. Speaker, in essence, the final ecopolitic collapse of the economy we witnessed in 2022, with all macroeconomic indicators gasping for air, was entirely avoidable. So what has changed this time with the exit plan from the IMF? A commitment never to return to the IMF after 3.5 years, the period we have been cursed through maladministration to return to the fund since independence in 1957. What is the PCI? It is a non-financial advisory and monitoring tool provided by the IMF. It allows the country to design and implement its own economic reforms without receiving a financial bailout, acting essentially as a global seal of approval for the government fiscal management. This masterstroke in economic diplomacy could not have been achieved without the backing of the president, whose mission this time around is legacy and respect. The president reads every document handed to him.
So this is a test business statement just for today and tomorrow. I mean, essentially it's for today and tomorrow. And few observations, though. I'm quite surprised that in the face of the plethora of